Hi there, welcome to Rock Bottom Art. I'm somewhat ashamed to admit that I can't draw, however I've been trying to learn over the last couple of years, and basically I've been picking up and dropping art and drawing for quite a while now, and you can probably tell that by my upload schedule. But I essentially get invested to the point that I get frustrated when I think of something I want to draw and then I'm unable to actually draw it, and this is very disheartening. And this is because I typically rush into things without understanding the fundamentals, and I do this every single time. So do as I say and not as I do, and start working on the absolute fundamentals. I've recently started to try and rush ahead and practice drawing hands, and worst case scenario, they end up like the left, which could be better. But even after trying using some more advanced drawing techniques, it ends up quite pear-shaped. But I will continue to try. However, I feel like I will still attempt to skip ahead and not learn the basics, and this will ultimately mess me up in the long term. So what is the solution? Essentially, we have to start with the absolute basics, and I mean really, really basic, and it's going to seem silly, but stick with me. We're going to start simply by drawing a lot of dots, and this can be either on digital platforms or traditional pencil and paper. And this is just to get used to holding the pen, the stylus, and that should help with all of the lessons you'll be learning in the future. Now, the next stage of this approach would be turning these dots into lines. Set yourself up with a couple of dots and try and control your pencil, pen, or stylus into connecting these dots in a smooth and as straight as a line as possible, or a curved line, and then eventually circles. And once you're able to draw circles freehand, you know that you're at a very comfortable spot in your foundational training to move on to the next step. I famously am very bad at drawing circles. I got quite lucky with that one, but it's something that I personally need to work on in the future. Now, step 3 is to turn all of these lines, connect them together, and turn them into shapes. And I'm sure you can see where this is going, but we'll be now using this practice of drawing very smooth lines and connecting them together to form very basic shapes. And this is something that's overlooked quite often, but fundamentally, every single thing you will draw in the future is made up of these shapes. Which leads me on to point 4, and that is combining these shapes together to give the impression of depth and 3D shape. And there are quite a different amount of approaches in how to do this, but for now, we are just creating drawings by eye. We're not using any particular perspective rules. We're just playing around, getting used to the feeling of connecting shapes together. And as you can tell from this shape, there is no plan going into it, but it's good practice in how to create different forms. And I know over the next couple of days, I will be practicing on this one quite a bit. Now, we haven't got much more to do, but the final part 5, would be practice, practice, practice. So I'm going to draw something very rough, just a collection of different shapes turning into 3D shapes, and then merging these 3D shapes together. And this will fundamentally transform into how you'll create all of your structures moving forward. If you want to draw a building, you will initially start by doing this very basic line structure, and then you can refine it with more and more detail, and then adding value, which would be color, shading, just to make things a bit more realistic. Now, as you can probably tell, I am not very good at editing or making videos, but I have a passion for teaching myself as I teach others. So hopefully you can follow this journey with me as I make plenty of mistakes, and hopefully you can learn from them. But please feel free to share any and all advice or opinions you have, because you are an incredible audience and I want to learn as much as I can from you and hopefully transfer that to everyone else who's watching. I don't do this for any other reason than to share the love of art together, and hopefully you'll all be making your own fabulous pieces, far better than mine, in the future. As you can see, this is my second attempt today, and it's somewhat better already, but it is incredibly wonky, and it looks like this small tower structure could fall down at any time. I will then add these lines just to give a further impression of 3D shape, and there we have it. I will continue to be practicing this in my own time away from camera, just so I can come back to you and potentially come back with a part 2. So thank you everyone for watching. I hope you learned plenty, and if you've learned something, please try it yourself and let me know what I can do better in the future. Have a great day. Bye.